Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Beer Garden Live again. Today, we are going to discuss the Charene race card later in the afternoon in Hong Kong. Currently, it is 7 a.m. here right now, and we have Steve, Nathan joining myself talking about our selections in the afternoon. I just checked the weather report bit because currently, when I look out from my home window, it is really foggy outside. I cannot see the buildings nearby, but at least it will not be raining in the afternoon. So hopefully it is going to be a good race meeting at Shatin today because we will be watching some turf races along with two all-weather races in the 10 race card at Shatin. Really interesting in the afternoon. So we are going to discuss the treble first and then followed by our best bet and value bet as usual. So let's start with race 8, which will be the first leg of the treble. It will be a class 4 over 1400 meters. Nathan, who do you like in the first leg of the treble, race 8?
Yeah, it's an interesting race. We've got Fast Buck coming up the favourite, and he deserves it. I thought he was a
Yes.
really good winner last start. Zach Purton sticks after what was a pretty nice win. I thought to the eye, he managed to find the perfect position from a nice draw, and I think he is the one to beat. But I just thought there was a little bit of value in this race. Outside of that, you got horses like Wide Blue Yonder, for example. I thought was a nice finish last time. Mr. Valiant's had claims back in grey, but for me, the horse I'm going to go with is number 3. Let's Do It. You're getting a nice price too. It's open around 15 to 1 and $3.80 a place. I'll make it my value bet for the Chartin meeting. Steps back in grade here for the second time after a couple of really nice efforts, I thought, up in class 3. They were both behind two really nice horses. Amazing Victory, who went on to put back-to-back wins, and also Murado, who put up some nice, a couple of nice wins together as well. So I think those two horses are really good form references for a race like this. And then last time, he drew barrier 7, and Poon unfortunately got cast quite wide. And for a large portion of the race, I thought didn't have a lot of cover. So I thought it was a pretty nice effort to finish off the way he did. Look, he's a bit of a non-winner. He hasn't won in Hong Kong yet, so there's a bit of a query in that regard. But I just think this time from barrier 3, Harry Bentley takes the reins on Sunday afternoon. I think he can jump and almost lead from barrier 3 if he wants to. I don't see a stack of speed on paper. And I think this horse is better when he just puts himself out of trouble and hasn't got to sort of go around the horses and just put himself in the race. Just be up there on speed. He can even find the 1-1, maybe even sit more forward. Hopefully, I'd like him to lead. I think this horse wouldn't mind bowling along at the 1400 metres. He's got a nice fitness edge on a lot of his rivals as well. He's been up for a while. He's had about 5 starts this preparation, and all of them have had merit, I thought. Even go back to his second run in the preparation, he got lipped out by a horse called Turquoise Alpha, who on his best form is a very, very nice galloper as well, particularly in Class 4. So I just think Let's Do It presents at a nice big price, around 15 to 1. I acknowledge the favourite Fast Buck's the one to beat, but I'm hoping if we're in front of Fast Buck, he can be chasing us and we can just sort of get a length or two on him. If we can pinch a break, I think at the price, Let's Do It's a nice each way bet on the card. So I'm making my value play. As I said, there's a lot of runners here, though. Fast Buck's a fair favourite. And then the interesting runner that I tipped him last time, he disappointed me a little bit, and that's number 9, Owner's Praise. I feel like he's got a lot of ability, though, and I feel like barrier 11 is actually a positive, not being caught up between runners, which I don't think he appreciated last time at Chartin. So the bigger track seems to suit, and he's another one that could improve. But I understand the spruik for Fast Buck. He's a fair favourite, but I just think the each way quote here for Let's Do It is way over the odds. So he's used to carrying big weights as well. So I'm not phased by the 134 pounds. So gets a nice little swing on Fast Buck in the weights too. So I'll go with Let's Do It on the each way. I think he's a really, really good bet.
Yeah, exactly. So Nathan has his value bet here. Number 3, Let's Do It. This time breaking from gate 3 should be a big advantage for him because among his 5 stars currently in this season, the best draw he got would be gate 7. But this time, obviously, much more better. So he can stay more in front in the beginning, which will be a better tactic for him. I agree with that. But Steve, what do you think about race 8?
Well, I went for the favourite Fast Buck. He's just a very nice horse, as Nathan says. It's the obvious go-to horse. He's a short enough price, but lightly raced 4 runs and basically just steady improvement. 5th to Dragon's Luck, and then 4th to United We Stand over the 1200 metres. And then the application of Blinkers seemed to help. He was then second to what was he second to? If I remember rightly, it was Full Runner. how can I forget Forerunner, which will be an important important horse for me later. And then of course he won last time from Smiling Collector. Just a nice horse. He's got enough weight to carry, 9 stone 8 in sort of British weights, and a 3-year-old. But yeah, it's up £6. But he's an Almaha gelding. I think and hope he can confirm superiority with Let's Do It, Holy Power, and Sparky Star. Let's Do It actually tipped up on his penultimate run. He was a very good third, 3 back, and then on the strength of that, I tipped him, and he was 5th. And the last time he was 5th again. He's certainly a horse that will be there or thereabouts. He always is. But I'm just hoping that Fast Buck can continue the good form. He's certainly young and a young horse on the up. Horseane Bolt, I put in my blog, Horseane Bolt, Hugh Bowman, HB. Maybe the HB factor will cause the Son of X Celebration to finally win on his 29th local start. But I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah.
And for me, it'll be Fast Buck to hopefully win some bucks.
Yeah, me too. I'm also with number 2, Fast Buck. I think he's an up-and-coming 3-year-old who is still improving. Last time he already proven himself is suitable for racing over 1,400 meters, and he gets a good draw again today. Gates 5. I mean, Gates 5 is quite a good draw for him. Second on board again, and one thing he needs to overcome it because he, as a 3-year-old, this time needs to carry 133 pounds. But as long as he can stay in front, I believe he can handle the heavyweight. And of course, he is also improving. Yeah, but I think another horse here that I would also like to mention that will be number 9, Owner's Praise, because Gates 11 somehow will be a better draw for him, just like Nathan said before, because he used to be a back marker at Happy Valley, but last time out he tried Charene for the first time and his performance was not bad. And Gates 11 this time should be more helpful because he will be likely to stay in the back. That's he can show a great turn of foot in the straight. So I think the map here will be Fast Buck, and also Let's Do It from a better inside draws that these 2 horses will be in front, and also Owner's Praise will be at the back. And hopefully these few horses can also have some good performance. But yes, I will also still go with number 2, Fast Buck. He was my best last time, but I think this time he needs to carry the heavyweight, so he will not be my best bet, but I'm still very confident on him. So to recap, race 8, the class 4 for 1,400 meters. Nathan's value bet here, number 3, Let's Do It, and Steve and I have an agreement on number 2, Fast Buck. And the second race we are going to talk about will be race 9. It is a class 3 over longer distance, 1,800 meters. Nathan, who do you fancy in race 9?
I was with him last start. We're going to be with him again. He's come up the favourite, and I think he deserves to be. That's number 1, Glorious Dragon. I thought he was really, really impressive last start. In behind a horse that Steve tipped up, which was 5G Patch. Really good win by the winner. Had to chase down my Galloper Champion Dragon on what was a very slowly run race. He sort of got a few cheap sectionals and was able to kick clear. Looked the winner for some stage, but then we got beaten by half a length by the eventual winner. I think that's the right form line. I think, yes, despite that being 2,000 metres, coming back to the 1,800, I don't think is necessarily a negative. I would have liked him to stay back up at 2,000 metres because I do think he's got a lot of fitness on his side compared to a lot of his rivals. But 1,800 metres is fine. He should ping the lids again from barrier 1. And we get a nice claim here with Angus Chung. I like it when he gets on these top weights and gets them down into the weights. He's meeting a horse like Woodfire Bro at set weights, which is pretty crazy to me considering the rating. So I think he's just as good in this field. He's been really well placed by the stable. Tony Cruz. So he's done a great job with this horse. I think he gets his win, and a much-deserved one. I think he leads, he'll kick clear. And again, in a race where there's not a lot of tempo, I think Woodfire Bro is probably the other one that could go forward from barrier 7. And then outside of that, you're not really seeing too much speed. I think everything else wants to be taking a sit and is going to be giving us a head start. So I think Champion Dragon's got the class on his side. He's been really, really impressive without winning so far this preparation, and he's found the frame his last 3 starts, and I think he can go a couple better. At least short enough, I suppose, at the 3.7 they've opened, but I think that's probably fair considering there's a lot of unknowns in this race. So a horse like Perfect Team's definitely caught my eye. I'm interested to see how he can improve second up from Australia. Woodfire Bro, as we said, he's ultra consistent. He'll continue to run well. And the horse that I keep trying to tip him, I'm not sure if I'll find him on Sunday, and that's number 7, the co-partner Elites. I really like him. I think he's a nice type. He just looks like a horse that will stay over about 3,000 meters, but they just don't have those trips in Charene. So he just seems like a horse that just wants further and further, but they just can't find it for him. So he's another one that I'd be entertaining as well. But Champion Dragon, he's got all the references that make sense to me. He beat the rest of that field behind 5G Patch by 4 lengths, so they've got a lot of sort of road to make up on him, and I don't think they can. I think he'll pinch a break and he'll be too good. So I've gone with Champion Dragon, and even at the price, I think he's a good bet.
Yes, I think so. Number 1, Champion Dragon gets gate 1 as well. This time he should be the possible leader in the field with Angus Chung on board. Do you think Champion Dragon is also the likely winner, Steve?
Yes, I do. I'm sometimes guilty during doing my preview blog of picking sort of fanciful outsiders, but this time in race 9 and 10, I just decided to go with what I thought was the sort of the percentage sensible call. I do like Champion Dragon. Now, kind of Nathan to mention, of course, I had 5G Patch the last time, which I must admit, when they turned into the straight, I thought Champion Dragon had stolen a bit of a unassailable march on him, and I was starting to panic. But Hugh Bowman had matters in hand. He's a very nice horse, though, son of Star Spangled Banner. He's nothing from 5 this season, but when you look at the horses he's been in the frame with, third to Sweet Encounter, then Sword Point, and 5G Patch is what I think is a progressive horse, a very nice horse indeed. I'm actually quite happy that he's back to the 1800. I think it could well be I'd like to think his best trip, but obviously 1800, 2000s all comes alike. But quite no quibbles with him being back at the 1800 mile and 1 furlong. And as Nathan says, for his run style, gate 1's perfect, and Angus Chung is very adept at judging the fractions. And that's my only real worry, is that possibly he can go off too fast or get pace pressure, as you say, from the likes of Woodfire Bro. But all things being equal, you'd expect Champion Dragon to get a deserved win on the board this season, and he doesn't have another Tony Cruz horse to scupper his plans on this occasion, as 5G Patch was. So for me, a confident pick, Champion Dragon.
Yes, right. Actually, I also think that number 1, Champion Dragon, is really hard to beat in the field, especially he gets the claim from Angus Chung. But finally, I decided to go with number 10, Quantum Patch, who will be making his second up in Hong Kong in this afternoon. Before he came to Hong Kong, he was a maiden winner in Ireland, and he won it impressively over 1,800 meters at Leopardstown. He won by 4 lengths under Colin King, and then after that sole victory, he went to Hong Kong. And I think that this 4-year-old is settling really well here. As we see him during the morning track, well, he's really calm, really fit horse, and this time second up here and then stepping up to 1,800 meters. He already proven himself is capable for this trip in Ireland, and also on his local debut on 24th of January. Last time out, he was ridden by Jerry Chow, and actually he gets the rail for the whole trip, but he did not have a really clear one in the last furlong. But after passing the finishing line, he gets a really good performance. So this time, I think it is time for him to step up for a longer distance. And of course, Zach Purton takes the ride. And before this race, Zach Purton partnered this horse for a really good morning gallop. So I think the horse is doing well here, but this time gate 11 would be a bit concern for me, but hopefully the pace here can be a bit fast with Champion Dragon leading and also Woodfire Bro also staying in front, so that Quantum Patch gate 11 he can find a good position after Zach Purton. So I will be looking forward to him to see him to show some improvement. Number 10, Quantum Patch for me. And to recap race 9, our selections, including Nathan's and Steve, agree with number one, Champion Dragon. And actually, I like number 1 as well, but finally, I go for number 10, Quantum Patch. So the last race we are going to talk about will be race 10. It is a class 3 over 1,400 meters. A lot of good horses here, especially the 4-year-olds. What do you think about this race, Nathan?
It's an exciting race, and the prospects in it, the exciting part, just to see if the horse I've got on top and the short price favourite, that's Beauty Eternal. If I just want to see him come out and do what he did again last start. I thought he was really, really impressive when he came out over the 1,200 metres. And there were a lot of queries on him. I think a lot of people probably thought, is he going to be returning in his best order? His trials were outstanding, but he just couldn't make it to the races. And once he did, gee, it was a win. 3 wide, no cover, the entire, went forward, sat there. Purton just knew what he had under him, and he just proceeded to give them a shellacking, really. The length, it was a length margin into second. I think Youthful Deal's a really nice horse as well. So I just think the form will stack up really nicely. But he was dominant. He was hard held with the last 50 metres, and he had to do all the work. For now, this time, I think if you had any reservations about him, it's obviously the price at 1.5. He's very, very short. But also, he's drawn gate 1. And so my only concern is if he gets caught up on the inside between gallopers and doesn't get any clear room late. But you just trust Zach Purton to get him out at the right time, particularly late in the day. They might be trying to get off the rail anyway. So I'm not overly concerned by barrier 1, but if you had any, that would be it. He does get £9 for his win, but he deserves it. I think he deserves every inch of that weight because I think he's classy. I think he's a very, very talented galloper. You got horses here that, as you mentioned, Charene, are going to be right in the 4-year-old series sort of contenders with like Majestic Colour. I think it's going to be right there in the ratings for a race like that. And then you'll Find My Love comes out of that race, the first leg of the 4-year-old series as well. So you can tie some form lines in here. But this 1,400 metres, the 700 trip looks suitable for Beauty Eternal. The only negative is the price, but I've got to tip him just on the basis I think he is the progressive horse, and I think he's just better than this class. I think he's going to be reaching group levels in the future for me. But the horse in this race that I do want to give a quick mention to is number 8, Chu Chow Spirit. Now, this horse is very, very interesting. Went by the name by Twin Stars in Australia. There's a really nice horse here. And the thing that I like about this galloper is that it was trained by Tony and Calvin McAvoy down in Adelaide, but they actually took it to Brisbane. Now, the thing with Brisbane is they run the same way. They run clockwise circuit. So, interestingly enough, that suits Charene. The trials were good, and you're getting a nice each way bet. So if I was going to have a bet in the race outside of the favourite, it would be him, Chu Chow Spirit. And we get that Hugh Bowman factor as well. So he jumps on, which gives me some confidence that he's jumped on the Australian type, and he might have an opinion of him. So I think he's a nice horse, Chu Chow Spirit, but I've just de facto to the favourite. I think he's just too good.
Yeah, that's cool. So number 5, Beauty Eternal, the current favorite in the field, but I think he's really a talent horse. What about Steve? Who do you like in the final race of the card?
Yes, to say number 5, Beauty Eternal, just a very, very nice horse. I mean, he should well almost be unbeaten now, really. I mean, he was very, very unlucky. As Nathan says, the only real worry is the potential of some trouble in running, and that's exactly what he had on his second run when he was third to Science Patch, all dressed up in Norway to go on the far rail. Hopefully that won't happen this time. But yes, a very nice horse. First 2 runs over 1,200 metres. You'd expect improvement, or certainly to be no worse over the 1,400. And the fact that Connections are even thinking in the future about a Derby tilt just shows you just what a good prospect this horse is. And there's nothing really in the race you would think like it. I think Alacrity is an interesting horse down the line for Jamie Richards. Fascinating runner, new recruit, and his latest trial was boosted, of course, by the success of Goritis, which was a fantastic 31-1 winner by Nathan last week, of course. And he's formerly known as Viejos Tiempos, which is old days in English. And won a Group 1. Well, he won 4 races on the spin in his native Chile. But at the Hippodrome Santiago, he won the Grand Premio Club Hippico Falabella. I just like saying it. And that was a very nice Group 1. So I think he'll probably need the run. But he's had a couple of trials to put him right. And I think down the line, Alacrity looks like a very nice horse. But yeah, interesting race. I think Morado looking for 4 in a row last time, couldn't do that. 6 to Majestic Colour. And then Hugh Bowman, as Nathan has alluded to, Chu Chow Spirit, an interesting newcomer. But it's very hard. I mean, price aside, which is very prohibitive, it's hard to imagine Beauty Eternal being anything other than an impressive winner in the last.
Yes, right. So Steve also go with number 5, Beauty Eternal, and I really agree that he is a great horse. Actually, for me, I was struggling between among several 4-year-olds, including Majestic's Color, and also Beauty Eternal is of course a great horse. And finally, I decided to go with the top-rated number 1, Majestic Color, because I think last time his performance was really impressive. He was breaking from a wide draw last time out over the C course, but the horse could still overcome it under Derek Leung, and this time Derek Leung retains on board, so hopefully they can overcome the wide draw again. And yes, last time out he stayed in the mid tight field, and then he just showed a turn of foot in the last furlong, and he won the race. And this time he needs to carry a top weight. It is another concern for me, because I think this 4-year-old is still improving with his good form in Queensland. Before, he was already a Group 3 winner over there, and he is doing well in Hong Kong, settling in this new environment. And also last week he also have several good gallops in the morning, showing that this 4-year-old is really fit and really able to overcome the wide draw. And obviously currently he is rated 80, so if he wants to participate in the 4-year-old series, the second leg of the series will be the Classic Cup over 1800 meters. If he needs to be in the fields, he needs to get more marks, so more points. So hopefully he can have another good one, so that he can be a likely runner in the field. But I really think that for this 4-year-old is still improving. So hopefully Derek Leung can help the horse to overcome the wide draw again. So I go with number 1, Majestic Color. And to recap race 8, Nathan and Steve have another agreement on number 5, Beauty Eternal, and I will go for number 1, Majestic Color. So it is time for us to discuss our best bet for the day. Nathan, who will be your best bet?
We're going to jump back to race number 3. We'll give the 2 Class 5s a skip at the start of the card. And we'll go to number 5 here, Circuit Stella. Zach Purton jumps on this Tony Cruz gelding, and I think it's ready to win here. I think the key factor is the smaller field here with 8 horses. Had to let up and sit in behind Healthy Happy last time in the Class 1 Chinese New Year Cup. I don't think Purton's going to do that. I think he's going to ping. I think he's going to go straight to the front, and he's going to keep finding late. The only other horse I can see maybe getting into a bit of a speed battle with him is number 1, Car-Ying Master. Bourbon Air's an interesting runner first up, but I don't think they're going to be trying to be hard pressed going forward first up at the 1400 meters. So I do think Circuit Stella gets a pretty fair and reasonable lead. Purton jumps on from the inside draw. He'll ping the lids, go forward, and he'll take luck out of the equation. Interesting, he does come from that Class 1 form, and it only gets 8 pounds coming back into Class 2 on its rating. So I think that's an interesting factor as well. And everything just sets up that in this small field, he's going to just play a game of catch me if you can. And you go a couple starts back, that's exactly what Angus Chung did a few starts back when he got up back in Class 3. So he got down the weights, got down with the claim, and then they just pinged the lids, went forward and won. Went up into Class 1 after that and got in with a very lightweight and behind Beluga and did something very similar. But again, didn't get to the front. The key factor is this guy just needs to lead, and I think that's exactly what Zach Purton's going to do. He'll go forward. He'll lead, he'll win, and I think he's a pretty good bet on the day, outside of Beauty Eternal, who I did make my best bet initially, but I just wanted to find someone at somewhat a better price. So if you wanted to have a bet in sort of across the card, there by 2, I think Circuit Stella into Beauty Eternal in a multi on the win line. I think that's how I'd play the day, honestly, because I think they're the 2 best on the card. So Circuit Stella, the best bet of the day, along with Beauty Eternal, they're the 2.
Yes, Nathan, it is a good pick. Number 5, Circus Stella in race 3, this time gate 2 for this front runner, and a small field here, so he's likely to be leading with Car-Ying Master, and the speed, the pace, will not be really fast, so it would be really favorable for the front runner and also the leaders. Steve, what about you? Who do you like as your best bet?
I went to race number 6, which I thought was a cracking Class 4, and I went for the 2-horse 4 runner. As Nathan said, the Beauty Eternal looks like probably the nailed-on certainty of the day, but the price was just too short to do a best bet. It's nice to have a bit of imagination, so I think we've done that with Circuit Stella and myself on 4 runner. He was a very nice winner on debut, and hopefully a nice winner here in race 6 will do a little favour, a little handsome compliment to Fast Buck in race 8, who he beat on his debut. And then he was 4th next time behind Bulletproof, which I don't think any of us saw coming, but it was a big surprise that day. But prior to the second race, Hugh Bowman did say that it was a very nice prospect 4 runner, but still a little bit maybe physically immature. Now, of course, he's not the finished article in a few weeks, but I think there's lots of improvement to come. He was just beaten for 3rd by Run Buddy last time, but despite Run Buddy having a very good draw this time for Frankie Laurendale Young, I just think there's a bit more room for improvement in 4 runner. So that's the horse for me. I think he's a very nice horse. It's not a different open race, Speed Faithy. I always bang on about the poor form of the Millard stable each week, but we saw just last Sunday there that Richard Gibson's not been doing too well either. But yeah, all of a sudden, Happy Together and Ernest Feeling was a good double for him on the day that Wellington, probably the most fancied of the three horses, was defeated. But yes, for me, Forerunner. I think an interesting second pick, I think, is Strongest Boy for David Hayes. He's a horse that I've followed. He's only had 3 runs. For his first 2 runs, he was drawn 14, dreadful draws. And last time, gate 6 was better, but he still found himself 3 or 4 wide at the beginning. Gate 8 is again tricky, and I think there's a lot of pace on his inside, the likes of Run Buddy again and Forerunner. But if Canis Teton can drop him in, I think at double figure prices, he's probably a very nice each way selection, Strongest Boy. But I like to think Forerunner is good enough to return to winning ways.
Yes, there are several lightly raced runner in race 6, but Steve's best bet number 2 Forerunner, ridden by Hugh Bowman. I think he's a really great horse because he will be making his 3rd up in Hong Kong, and he's still improving. And this is already his 2nd time to carry a top weight, heavyweight. So with an experience last time out, so I think he will also be improving. And for me, my best bet goes to race 7. It is a dirt race over 1,200 meters. I quite like number 7, Elon, that will be ridden by Zach Purton. In our show before, we mentioned a lot of Zach Purton's mounts, and I think he is really, really likely to win the Jockey Challenge, although he did not have any victory last time out at Happy Valley last Wednesday. He is really likely to bounce back with a lot of good mounts, and I think one of his winning hope will be in race 7. That's my best bet. Number 7, Elon, who will be returning after a short break of 53 days. John Size recently have several runners that have a short break that can return to a winner's circle. So hopefully Elon can also do it. And during his break, he had 2 barrier trials, and he is improving steadily and doing quite well on his recent trials, showing that he is now fit enough for racing and also fit enough to have another victory. Last season, he is a 2-time all-weather winner over 1,200 meters in Class 3. He is he has quite good ability when he is racing in Class 3. So this time his rating is already 66, just a bit lower than last season when he scored a victory. So I think now he's capable to bounce back, especially with Zach Purton on board. And he's now the current favorite, $4.70. But I think Elon, number 7 in race 7, is likely to have a good performance, so he will be my best bet for the day. So to recap our best bet today at Charene: race 3, number 5, Circus Stella for Nathan, and race 6, number 2, Forerunner for Steve, race 7, number 7, Elon for me. And now we can discuss some outsider that we like. Nathan, can you tell us again, remind us who will be your value best for the day?
Yep, we'll go back to race number 8, and I'll take on the team on Fast Buck. I'll go with Let's Do It. I just think it's a very nice each-way bet in this race. Hopefully, Harry Bentley can ping the lids and go forward on him. I think he's ready to win in Hong Kong. He deserves a win. He's very, very consistent. You know what you're going to get. He's honest as the day is long. He just needs a bit of luck. He's just, as Charene mentioned, he's drawn barriers 12, 12, 10, 8, and 7. He's had no luck from the draw. Draws barrier 3. He can go forward from that gate. He gets a much better run in transit than he's had as of late, and they've put up 15-1. So I think it's absolutely worth the each way bet. Maybe Quinella it with Fast Buck, I think, because they're the two for me. I think it's a pretty open race outside of those ones, and I think they've come up a big price. So I'm happy to lean his way, and it is a competitive field, as we've mentioned, this class 4. So I think it's in an open race like this, I'm happy to steer against the short price favourite in Fast Buck, even though, as you both said, he looks the progressive type. And I'll go for the 20-plus start maiden in Hong Kong. So he's going really well, though. It's deceivingly going well. So I'll go with him on the each-way basis. I think he's a decent bet, at least on the place line. If he doesn't win, well, I think we know what he is.
Yes, right. Number 3, Let's Do It in race 8, and I think this time finally a good draw for him. And also his the gear, the cheek pieces is really helpful. Last time also he keeps the gear again this time, so hopefully he can have some good performance after 27 starts in Hong Kong. And Steve, what about you? Who will be your value bet for the day?
I went back to race number 9, where we've already picked Champion Dragon. I think Champion Dragon will likely go on lead from gate 1, unless. But you know, you're always slightly anxious about horses that try and make all. I think, especially if they get pestered for the lead or the fractions are wrong. And I thought Perfect Team was a very interesting horse, second up for Casper Founds. He's a son of Deep Impact in Australia, who is under the name El Zemi. And he won 2 races. He won his maiden over 1,500 metres at Newcastle, and then over the 2,000 at Caulfield. Now, on his debut under Vincent Ho, that was over an inadequate 1,400 metres. He was 10th that day, but he stayed on quite nicely in the end. I thought it was an interesting run over this 400 metres. He's not going to be any worse. He's going to, you would think, it's amazing how some horses can improve significantly from their debut effort. And I just thought this horse was an interesting one. And if there I can pick holes in Champion Dragon, then perhaps Harry Bentley's got himself a nice horse here, Perfect Team. It's interesting, of course, Vincent Ho keeps faith with co-partner Elites, which, as Nathan mentioned. And another horse I'd give a quick mention to is Intrepid Winner. I tipped him up when he won second up this season. And I think he's been a bit unlucky since on his, I think it was possibly 3 back or 2 back, in the Solid Point race where Champion Dragon was third. Intrepid Winner really didn't get a good run that day. He was all dressed up, nowhere to go, and then he got a broadside from SJ Tourbillon and could never get back into contention. And then last time, I don't think he was quite suited by going up to the 2,000 metres. So I think he's an interesting horse, Intrepid Winner, despite the form of the Millard stable. But for me, Champion Dragon with a little bit of insurance with Perfect Team.
Yes, I quite like his name, number 2, Perfect Team in race 9, and it is a combination with Harry Bentley and Casper Fong. And there is a quick news that about Senatoba, who already headed to Qatar yesterday, that he will be ridden by Harry Bentley in the Group 3 trophy. So hopefully this Perfect Team can also have some good performance later in the afternoon before they have a good ride for Senatoba in Qatar later in this month. And for me, my value bet goes to race 2. It is a class 5 over a mile, over 1,600 meters. I quite like the class drop. Number 2, Flying Mighty, that will also be ridden by Zach Purton again, and that's why I said that Zach Purton is really likely to win the jockey challenge. And yes, number 2, Flying Mighty in race 2, he is the only class dropper in the race, and I really think that he is very competitive in class 5. But actually, I was a bit afraid of the wide draw and his back riding, staying in the back, the riding tactic, because in this afternoon at Charene, we are going to have the meeting over the C+3 course. It is a really tight track, so sometimes the back marker will not be really favorable. But when I checked his form last season, Flying Mighty was a winner at the end of last season over the same track. So C+3 course seems is not a bad course for him. So hopefully this time with Zach Purton on board again, hopefully they can have some good performance again, because when he was racing in class 4 earlier in the season, trainer David Hall made the horse to try over different distance, different trip, and also Happy Valley and Charene as well. But finally they decided to go back to 1,600 meters at Charene, which is his winning course and distance. So this time with Zach Purton again, I think he is really likely to win the race again, especially he's now racing in a class 5. So now the price is also quite good for him. Let me check. Race 2, number 2, Flying Mighty is now $7.7. I think it is quite an attractive price. So hopefully he can have some good performance. And to recap our value bets, race X, number 3, Let's Do It for Nathan, and race 9, number 2, Perfect Team for Steve, and race 2, number 2, Flying Mighty for myself. So that's all for our preview today. So hopefully we can bring you some winner, and I think it is a really good card at this afternoon at Charene, and hopefully it will not be that foggy outside, because I don't like this nasty weather. So hopefully we can see the sun later, and let's enjoy the meeting later, and we will see you next time for the Happy Valley preview. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.